Now, during the debate last Saturday, Hillary Clinton had to defend herself against Bernie Sanders on the issue of taking money from Wall Street. Now, if you guys saw that debate, you saw this terrible, terrible, cringeworthy answer from Hillary Clinton.
I represented New York, and I represented New York on 9/11. When we were attacked, where were we attacked? We were attacked in downtown Manhattan, where Wall Street is. I did spend a whole lot of time and effort helping them rebuild. That was good for New York, it was good for the economy, and it was a way to rebuke the terrorists who had attacked our country.
So yeah, there was that answer. Okay, so she helped out Wall Street because it rebuked the terrorists on 9/11. Because that's who the terrorists were going after. They're going after Wall Street bankers. Right. And not because of all the money that Wall Street had actually paid her. Well, according to the International Business Times, they did a review of federal records, and this was an article wrote by David Sirota. Clinton was actually raising big campaign contributions, and her family was being paid speaking fees from Wall Street firms. But they were giving her money even before 9/11. For example, they get into her 2000 U.S. Senate race. Now, during that race, Clinton got about $1.1 million from the securities and investment industry. And this is according to data compiled by the Nonpartisan Center for Responsive Politics. Now, that made her the third largest recipient of Wall Street money of any member of Congress or congressional candidate running in that election cycle. Which, once again, that election cycle was about 10 months before September 11th. Not only that, but the securities and investment sector was Clinton's third largest source of campaign contributions in the 2000 cycle, after lawyers and retirees. Now, in fact, 4 of Clinton's top 10 campaign donors during the election cycle were employers from Wall Street banks. For example, we've got Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, UBS. On top of that, you had Credit Suisse, employees of Credit Suisse. They gave her about $47,500, and employees of Bear Stearns, another bank, gave her $39,400. And according to CRP data, Clinton in 2000 was, out of all U.S. Senate candidates that year, the number 2 recipient of campaign donations from employees of large hedge funds. The third largest from employees of private equity firms, the 4th largest from employees of commercial banks, and the 6th largest from employees of mortgage bankers and brokers. That's amazing. No. I got campaign money from Wall Street because I helped them out. No, Wall Street seemed to have been helping you out a while before 9/11. And maybe you were just returning the favor. Now, she also got funding from other places. For example, her campaign in 2000 was supported by the National Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, which raised about $4.2 million from the financial industry. The DSCC ended up directing about $7 million to the Democratic Committee of New York State in the 2000 election. The DSCC and Clinton campaign also set up a joint fundraising committee called the New York Senate 2000. That group's third largest contributor was, once again, donors from the securities and investment industry. Now, this article also gets into where in the months between Clinton's election and 9/11, her family also benefited from speaking fees at these major financial institutions, these Wall Street banks. According to federal financial disclosure forms, Bill Clinton was paid about $125,000 by Morgan Stanley Dean Witter in February of 2001, just weeks after leaving the White House. So he leaves the presidency, leaves the White House, immediately goes to start speaking at Morgan Stanley. Now that's Bill Clinton. Okay, well that's separate than Hillary Clinton, sort of, right? Well, he was also paid another $125,000 by Credit Suisse, first Boston later, right? Well, that goes into they're married, so that her money is his money is her money, right? I guess it both goes into both of their pockets. Now, Bill wasn't the only one doing speaking. We know Hillary Clinton has also done speaking engagements at different banks. Now, more recently, financial disclosure forms had shown Clinton's made $25 million from speaking fees in 2014. So she was still up to it, even at 2014. From those forms, Clinton lists a total of 51 speech fees that have been added to her personal account from a variety of companies. That's not including her husband's fees, which also appear on the same disclosure forms. Clinton's speech fees ended up totaling more than $11 million. Oh, but no, she donates that all to charity. No, actually she doesn't. These forms prove that she still pocketed $11 million. It went right into her pocket. Now, she did donate a lot of money from speaking fees to the Clinton Foundation. Of course, that's not in question. But she also took a lot of money and stuck it right in her pocket. Now, I wonder how much money that went to her pocket actually came from Goldman Sachs. You gotta wonder. And I'm not saying that you can't do speeches for money. But what I am saying is that from all the money that she's personally received, not only from campaign donations, but money that goes directly into her pocket, into her own finances, well, that kind of leaves you compromised. Just as Sanders had said during the debate, all of that big money, they want something for it. They don't just give you money because they're ready for Hillary. They don't give you money just because they believe. Okay? They give you money in this system. They give you money because they want something in return. When you get into office, when you get into power. And that's the problem with this. That's the problem with this. That's why it's important to bring up campaign financing. That's why it's important to follow the money. Because then you know who that politician who has gotten millions and millions of dollars of legal campaign donations, as well as speaking fees from those same banks that she got donations from, you know who that politician is going to serve. And from what it looks like, it doesn't look like Hillary Clinton is going to be serving the constituents, unless you count her constituents as Goldman Sachs. And what did Goldman Sachs and what did all these different banks, going back to 2011, what did they get from supporting Hillary Clinton? It's funny you ask. In March 2001, Clinton had actually switched a vote on a position, on a bill backed by the finance industry that actually made it harder for normal Americans, you and I, to discharge debts through bankruptcy. So she helped reform bankruptcy laws. It's funny how she switched her position after getting all sorts of campaign donations. I'm sure they just convinced her that it would be better for Americans to have a harder time at declaring bankruptcy. And now, what she's getting, or what they're getting for their donations, the banks are getting someone who's opposed to reinstating Glass-Steagall. Remember, Glass-Steagall is the one thing that would prevent banks from using depositor money to gamble with on risky investments. It's fine if they want to take their own money and gamble. But having no separation between commercial and investment banking means they can take your money that you put in the bank for safekeeping and gamble with it. And it's not as if you get a share of that money if they win, but you lose it. If they lose, you lose. But if they win, well, they win. You don't win with them. You don't get anything from that. Why not restore Glass-Steagall? If she has, as she claims, a more progressive, tougher banking law, why don't you just include a provision like Glass-Steagall to it? Why the difficult opposition? Why be against it? Oh, it's not good enough. Oh, is that why you're against it? Well, why don't you include it then? And then make it stronger? I'm not buying that I'm against it because it's not good enough line. Come on. Come on. You got to follow the money. You've got to follow the money. And here's what it comes down to. She is compromised. But no. Of course, there are people that are going to say, what are you kidding? She's not compromised by Wall Street. No. She helped them on 9/11. And they were just repaying her generosity. Because that's how you beat terrorism. Give me a break.